In this video, we are going to be continuing from question number 4. Question number 4 covers macroeconomics and economic pursuits. This question had for the marks, and the candidates was expected to spend 30 minutes of their time. In the previous video, we have covered 4.1, 4.2, as well as 4.3. If you haven't seen the previous video, this video will still be beneficial to you. However, I do recommend that you also look at the previous video, as it will be beneficial for you in preparation of the trial exam as well as the final examination. Now let's look at what we have and then take it further from there. So in this video, we cover 4.4 as well as 4.5. 4.4 says discuss the social indicator that relates to nutrition. And this November 2024 paper, the candidate was expected to provide 4 points in discussing the social indicator that relates to nutrition. And each discussion of each point was going to earn candidates a total of 2 marks. And then we can see from what you see here, a total of 8 marks were available for 4.4. Now, before we even dive into the solution, I want to give you a background more of preparing you for question of the similar nature. Then we'll then look at the solution together. I will then brief you in terms of what we have in the solution. But obviously, I want us to first understand. So let us broaden 4.4 and understand more about the social indicator that relate to nutrition before we go to the solution. Social indicator related to nutrition, that encompasses a range of factors that influence dietary intake as well as nutritional status. These include socio-economic factors like poverty, income, as well as social determinants such as food, access, education, cultural norms around food and eating. Other crucial indicators are related to food security, including the affordability and availability of nutritious food and access to safe and clean water and sanitation. So now, as you look at what I've already said, now you can just understand that people who are staying in the places that are called informal settlement, they are so unfortunate with their kids in terms of the quality of water they drink, the food they eat because of the affordability, and also how easy they can get into the healthy places or health systems or clinics or hospital, whatever you call it. So now let's just look at detailed look of this key social indicator. We'll start with social economic status, poverty and income. Lower income levels are directly linked to food insecurity and limited access to nutritious food, often leading to reliance on cheaper energy dense and less nutrient or nutrient rich option. So what does that mean? People who do not have money, they cannot put a balanced food together. They cannot say in the morning we want to eat fruit as well as maybe jungle oat, and then during the day we're gonna have this kind of food, and then in the evening we'll have this kind of food. They eat what they have in that particular time. If they have porridge during the whole day, then that means they will eat porridge during the whole day. If they happen to have rice and potato, they'll eat rice and potato during the whole day. They cannot put a balanced diet of the food they eat because they have scarcity. And then the other part that we can look at is education. Higher levels of education, particularly amongst women, associated with better food choices, improved knowledge about nutrition, and better childcare practice, which can positively impact on child nutrition. Now, think of an educated mom and an uneducated mom. An educated mom is most likely going to ensure that the kid eats good and proper food. And by the kid eating good and proper food, what does that mean? And therefore mean that kid is put or placed in the position to have a balanced diet and that will not cause the child malnutrition. Then the other part that we can look at while looking at social economic status is employment. Access to stable and well-paying jobs provide financial security and resources for food purchases, while unemployment can lead to food insecurity. Think of the family where there are people who are employed and the family where there are people who are not employed. So what does that mean for you? In the families where people are employed, they have money to buy good food, nutritious food. However, unemployed people, again, because of poverty and lack of income, they have food insecurity. So, what are the other social indicator? It is the food security. So, what are the factors that we're gonna cover when looking at the food security? We look at availability, the access, utilization, as well as the stability of food. Now, let's start with the first one. The first one is food availability. When we're talking about food availability, we're referring to the physical presence of the food in the community or household, including access to market and grocery stores. So now think of a place where shops are very far, or those that are close, they only sell limited food, and those food that are sold are not the food of good quality and also are not nutritious food. The issue of food not being available closer to the household, it affects in terms of what the kids eat as well as even the adults. Food access. This include both physical and economic access to food. Considering factors like transportation, distance of food sources, and cost of nutritious foods. When we're talking about access, are you going to be able to access food through the money that you have? Are you going to be able to access food if you want to go buy food? And let's assume or let's make assumption that you have money now and you want to go buy food. Are you going to be able to do that? And then food utilization. This involves the ability to utilize food properly, which is influenced by knowledge about food preparation, hygiene, and childcare practice. So now let's make an example that there is this family that just gave birth to a kid. We know at a certain age, up until the age of 6, the kid should not be eating certain kind of food. Obviously, it's preferable that the kid only eats either the milk from the shop or the milk from mom or breastfeeding. So now, if we find the kid that are at 3 months eating hard milk, it might result to issues in the kid as he or she grows. So now, if the food is not utilized correctly to the right age or right age group, or even if we're looking at adults, if adults are having excess of certain kind of food like oil, sugar, that can have issues in terms of nutrition of on their body. And the last one, when you're looking at food security, is food stability. So, what does food stability means? It refers to the consistency and reliability of food supply over time, protecting against distribution due to economic or environmental factors. So, what are we looking at here? We're looking at the fact that in the shops, they have food today, but tomorrow they don't have. They have certain nutritious food today, but tomorrow or next week they do not have. So there is no stability in terms of when you are going to be able to get certain kind of food which are needed by your body. So that's what we mean by food stability. And then the other part that we'll cover when we're looking at the social indicator which relate to nutrition, we look at social determinants of healthy. So social determinant of healthy, we will look at the healthy care access, water and sanitation, social support, cultural norms and practice, discrimination, as well as inequality. Now, let us look at healthcare. So, access to quality healthcare services, including prenatal care, childhood immunization, and treatment for malnutrition, is crucial for maintaining good nutritious status. So, now think of a rural area which cannot access any clinic or the clinics are very far from them. It is most likely that they are not going to be taking the kids to immunization, off your immunization after they are born. And that is needed for the kids' growth and that is needed for the kid nutrition. So now, in that case, the kid's life and the kid's body might be affected because they aren't going for the immunization. And also prenatal care. If there's no proper prenatal care on the mother while pregnant because it's not visiting the hospital, it also then affects the kid as well. Now, let's move to water and sanitization. Access to safe and clear water and sanitization facility is essential for preventing infection and diseases that can hinder nutrition, absorption, and utilization. So now think of a place where they do not have tanks, they do not have proper water. So the probably in order to get water, they go to the dams. Dams might not be clean because of rain. The rain will be taking dirty stuff from different places to these dams, and people are drinking those water are not good for their body because they are not cleaned and they're not sanitized in that way. It will affect the health of the kids as well as obviously the adults that are eating those kind of water. Social support, including family, friends, and community resources, can provide emotional and practice support during times of food insecurity and hardship. And the cases where you are living with the neighbors who aren't willing to assist you in terms of food support, unfortunately, it also hinders your ability to eat good and nutritious food. And then you're looking at cultural norms as well as practice. Cultural beliefs and practice related to food, eating habits, and childcare can influence dietary choices and nutritional outcomes. So, what does it mean? When you were growing up as a kid, your mother at the age of 2 started to give you the porridge from the Millie Meal. Because they were not educated, they didn't go through prenatal care. They don't know what should be done for the kid. And then now, because of those norms, now you have your own kid, you have your own baby, and you're saying, no, but I've been told that before the 6 months period, I should not feed this kid the mealy meal porridge. They will tell you, no, we're going to feed the kid. Those norms do contribute to the issues or social indicator which relate to nutrition. And then the other things, it's discrimination and inequality. So, experiences of discrimination and inequality based on gender, race, and other factors can affect access to resources, including food, increase vulnerability to food insecurity. So, now by not everyone being given a chance to participate in the economy, not being able to get to work so that they can provide for their family due to discrimination or inequality, it also does influence on the nutrition of the household, obviously, especially the kids. Other relevant indicator that we are going to be looking at its prevalence of anemia. Iron deficiency anemia is a common nutritional deficiency, particularly among women and children, and is linked to reduced work capacity and cognitive development. So when you talk about anemia is when you see people that when they're opening the doors, they get shocked because they lack iron. That means they didn't or they don't eat sufficient vegetables or sufficient grains like your spinach or your sufficient meat like your livers. Prevalences of standing or low heights for age is a mark of chronic malnutrition in children and can lead to impaired physical and cognitive developments. Prevalence of obesity both in children and adults is a growing concern globally and is associated with increased risk of chronic disease like diabetes as well as heart diseases. Dietary diversity and meal frequency. This indicator reflects the variety of frequency of food consumption, which is important for ensuring adequate intake of essential nutrition. Then infant and young child feeding practice. Breastfeeding and complementary feeding practice are crucial for child growth and development. And indicators related to this nutrition are important for assessing infant and youth child nutrition. That takes us to the end of what I wanted to discuss with you before we even look at the solution. Now, what are we going to do? I'm going to give you the points that are part of the solution, which was expected for the candidate to discuss, or rather, which you will be expected if the question of similar nature is asked in your trial or your final exam. So, the coverage, when we're looking at the social indicator that relate to nutrition, the child malnutrition was looked at, as well as overweight children, obesity was also looked at. And the different points were covered in each and every point selected. So we start with child malnutrition. Malnutrition is expressed in two ways: weight for age, underweight, and height for age, dwarfism. So what does it mean? So when you're looking at malnutrition in the kids, we look at in terms of the weight, what is the weight of the kid, as well as the height, what is the height of the kids. So how is that looked at? They are looking at the certain age in order to see people of this age group, what are they normally weighing on average. So if the kid happens to be weighing way less than the average, then we'll say the kid is underweight. And when you're looking at the height also, the certain age is looked at what is the average height of particular age group. And if the kid is way lower than the expected height, then it is said that the kid has dwarfism problem. And the second child malnutrition that is looked at is the proportion of underweight children is the most important indicator of malnutrition. So if we're looking at the number of underweight children, that is the most important indicator. That because most people or most kids are affected by underweight as opposed to dwarfism. In South Africa, malnutrition is one of the leading causes of child deaths, and the other affected children is increasing. And the number of affected children is increasing, rather. So, what do we mean by that? The issue of kid not eating correct food or well balanced food, or the issue of parents not following correct protocol in raising the kids, it does lead to death, unfortunately. So that is something that you might not we might not talk about in most cases, but that is the influence of issue of underweight, more especially. The main cause of childhood malnutrition are household food insecurity, inadequate care, and unhealthy household environment, as well as lack of healthy care services. That I've explained when I was taking you through revision. I had spoke of food insecurity whereby there isn't sufficient food either because there's no money to buy or accessibility. Also, the unhealthy household environment, they are sitting or playing, staying in a place where there isn't enough water or clean, sanitized water, as well as the lack of health care services, that when the household is potentially staying far from generally the places closer to, how can we say, closer to the hospitals or clinic. And the second one, or the second indicator, social indicator that relate to nutrition, it is overweight. The concern is not only on underweight, however, overweight can result to the kids even losing their life. So for that reason, we're also gonna take a look at the overweight of children, or what is normally called obesity. An overweight child is one who weighs more when compared to an index to a child of the same age, gender, and height. So now what does it mean? The overweight is assessed on the basis of what other gender in the same age normally weigh. So if now the kid is weighing more than those age group, same gender, same height, then we say then the weight is over. Obesity of a children is associated with diseases such as diabetes and psychological disorder. So now we are looking at the fact that there is a high probability of a kid getting diabetes or having psychological disorder because of obesity. So that means now we are then deriving, or we are going to the fact to say now the overweight also has issues or has some impact in terms of the kid's growth. Disease caused by obesity may impact directly on the productivity of the individuals and place an enormous strain on public sector. So what does that mean? If kids are overweight, let's say we have so many kids that are overweight, we know that overweight can be linked to diseases like diabetes and psychological health. Now, it means those kids, they need to go to hospital on the regular basis, and that will put strain on the public health sector, because now, in addition to what the clinic can save, a consideration has to be made of those people that will come, because now they need to be taken care of. So South Africa has combined overweight and obesity prevalence in children, which is higher than global average. So what are we saying is that we seems to be having more people that have obesity and overweight in South Africa compared to global average. So which means that puts more strain in our economy than any other country when we are comparing with other countries. Let's take us to the end of question 4.4. Because now the video is a little bit longer, I'm going to have to do 4.5 on the different video. Please follow me and subscribe on my YouTube channel as well as on TikTok. I will give you the next video for 4.5. Thank you and all the best while you prepare for the exam.